Hey friends, and welcome back to my channel. It's Teresa here, and today I'm sharing with you the layout I did for the Traci Reed Designs creative team for the Besties Who Brunch Instagram hop just a couple of days ago. And so I wanted to share with you a deeper look at my process. I'm going to share a little bit from my Photoshop process today, and then also from the physical process today. Okay, so this is Photoshop CC, the subscription version, and I have the layout pulled up for you with all of the layers shown as I printed and cut and gathered the layout together. And what I wanted to show you specifically is how to mask so that you have a pattern paper showing on your background pattern paper. And so first off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this bottom layer, the pattern paper itself layer, and I'm going to right click on the eyeball and show hide all other layers, and that's going to turn everything off except for that pattern paper. And so this may or may not have been the specific pattern paper that I started with, but it is the one that I ended up with. And I do encourage you, after you have all of the elements placed on your layout in Photoshop, to play around with different pattern papers and see how they feel on the page, how they feel with the other elements that you've added. And one of the reasons that I landed on this pattern paper is because it did bring out the floral pattern mask. And so the way that I achieved the mask is by using this paint that's in the Ellie's pack in this collection. And so this is a mixed media element, and Traci has designed this beautifully, almost like a rainbow, with a combination of softer color areas and the lovely dots here. And you can really layer this and position this in ways that help bring out the florals that I used on both the corners in this layout. And so once you have your mixed media element pulled up in Photoshop, and you also pull up your pattern paper, and so of course this is the pattern paper that I've chosen to use. On the PC, you can hit Control A and Control C, and that will select your pattern paper and copy it to the clipboard for you, and then go back to your mixed media element and click Control V, and then that places your pattern paper onto or directly over top of that mixed media element. And so then you click on your layer 2 now, the pattern paper element, and right click on that and select Create Clipping Mask. And then what you'll see is that the pattern paper now takes on the characteristics of that mixed media element. Isn't that gorgeous? I love that. It is one of my favorite things to do for a background. Now, you can absolutely click on both these layers and do again Control C, Control V directly into your layout. You can also merge these layers, and then it becomes one layer, and it's sometimes a little bit easier to manipulate, especially with the way that I've manipulated it into this particular layout. So let me go ahead and Control C and go into my layout, and I'm going to hit Control V. Now, you absolutely can use it just like this. Let me kind of show you what it looks like with just the mask and the pattern paper. Let's see here. where do the embellishments begin? Here we go. The embellishments begin here. And I'm just going to bring up the florals for now. See how that begins to develop, and the pattern paper begins to be the sort of a background, a deeper, more textural and visual interesting background for these florals and for the layout in general. And I love it. I love how this looks. I have a thing for distressed and vintage elements, and this is one of the ways that you can bring this into your hybrid scrapbooking. So, of course, use this mask just like this. But one thing I found is that it doesn't show a lot through here. And so what I did then was duplicate this layer and move it around and rotate it and use it in different ways on different areas of the layout to get it to look the way that you want it to look on the page. And so what I ended up with, of course, once you do that, you start to have a kind of a mishmash of different circles here, and you absolutely can take your eraser tool and make that eraser size a little bit bigger. I tend to use a soft round pressure and just start to erase some of those where it looks a little bit cluttered. And you saw on my finished layout that I did a very restrained amount of those dots in the middle. So this is what I ended up with by just using different parts of the mixed media mask and the pattern paper together. And of course, some of the elements in the middle were not visible because of the added layers on top of the layout. So let me just show you again what everything looks like together. I did add another floral cluster that is printed and cut, the journaling spot, the frame and the mat. I'm not sure if Traci designed this little floral piece to be a mat itself or a frame, but it looks really beautiful as the mat inside this frame, and especially with this beautiful photo. And then, of course, I created the title using the alphabet in the collection, added a little tab, the date label, and the Better Together word strip, and just all in all turned out to be a gorgeous layout. If you want to see how did I add the depth to these florals, this is a simple drop shadow. And so I'll use this one as an example. When you click on your element and you go to the FX button, you'll see at the bottom the drop shadow option. And when you pull up the drop shadow option, of course, you can see here I already have it set for this flower, but the drop shadow blending option is selected here. And if you click off of that, you go to a different blending option, so to speak. But by clicking on that, then you have the window that correlates with that function. And I have it set as a linear burn, and the opacity is at 44. You can go up and down, and you can see that bumping up or bumping down the opacity makes it more dark or less dark. The angle refers to the angle at which the light is coming into your object. So you can certainly play around with that. Notice that shift there. I like to just keep mine at like 140 something. I don't know why, it just seems to work out the best. It's my favorite. You may have a different favorite, and that's okay too. The distance here refers to how far that particular shadow is going to reach underneath your object. And I play with this every time I'm doing a drop shadow. The size also plays a little bit with that, but they interact together with the size and the distance together. So play around with that as well. I don't typically work with the quality, but you can get a different kind of look to your shadows there. I'm going to hit cancel on that and just zoom back out here. And then I'm going to meet you over on my filming desk, and we will complete this layout together. Hey, all right, here we are with everything printed and cut. I use the Canon IX6820, and everything is printed on either glossy or a matte photo paper, and then cut using my Silhouette Cameo. And so let me show you, here is how the background looks when it's printed out. So what I did that I didn't talk about really in the Photoshop portion of this video, but I did add the butterflies to this background. I have them underneath the pattern paper mask layers, just so that they take on some of the quality of that blue pattern paper mask, and it helps them feel like they're a part of the layout. And of course, I have my favorite little bowl of embellishments, and also the photo and the photo mat and the photo frame. And hopefully you can see here how the blue pattern paper masks ended up looking on the completed or printed page. So what I'm going to do here is just start out with placing my photo and the frame. Please note, it is not exactly in the center, and that is on purpose. That is very intentional for me. I did add a little bit of an offset to that frame in the silhouette, just to help with the cutting of those tiny details. I didn't want the blade to get hung up on those little details, and I think it looks great. It's such a beautiful frame, isn't it? And adding that floral mat really sets the photo off. This is a photo of Asher and her grandmother. Asher has family, and their dad's side of the family lives in Florida and some in Georgia. And this grandparent had come to visit us here in North Carolina. And so I was able to capture this beautiful photo of them together, and I wanted to make sure that a layout about this was included into Asher's album for her collection of layouts. And this seemed like the perfect collection for this, even though it's specifically designed for besties. I definitely think that there's a besties kind of aspect to grandmother and granddaughter relationships, and that definitely shows here. And so it was a perfect off-theme use for this collection. So you see me here with a combination of pop dots and just regular old tape runner adhesive, adding these layers to the printed background. The idea of layering these florals, they could have all been printed on the background. But of course, we hybrid people love the texture and the dimension of some of the elements being printed as well. And I just wanted to share this with you because I wanted to remind you that you can build your own backgrounds and you can build your own pattern papers using elements in these collections and in Photoshop. And it's something that I've really been loving doing lately. I've been doing this a lot, and it's just fun to discover the different elements in different collections and different ways to create your own pattern papers. And I love that. I love the fun of it. I love the finished look of it. You can see here how that's developing. The floral cluster around the frame and the frame itself actually link the two different floral clusters on the background together. And I love that. I love that cohesive feel with also having the textural element. So for my title, I created a little bit of a tag or label as the background there, peeking out from behind the frame. And then I created the title. It says Special Bond, and I'm going to pop dot those words above the frame. This congestion, y'all, we've been having some rain and weather here, and it's impacting my throat and my voice. But at any rate, I'm going to keep on going here. The title now is a great place for that little title. And notice how I tucked the journaling behind the floral cluster and the date label underneath, opposite of the title there. And then I'm calling this layout completed. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll have links to the Besties Who Brunch collection down below for you. And as always, thank you so much for being here. I will see you back here again real soon. Bye-bye.